Have you ever known, Jerry has talked to Esther, he had a lot of life before they came together. And he was in the circus as a teenager, and then he was in show business for years, and he was on the road constantly and surrounded by all kinds of different people. And he spoke frequently about the roughness of the environment and how he readied himself to protect himself. He was very fierce. He knew that there could be those who would come to fight, and he had to be ready for it and to give it everything he had when it did come. And for a period of his life, there was hardly a day that he did not have an altercation and come to physical blows with someone in his quest to make the world a better place. After all, don't you make the world a better place by beating the hell out of anyone who's trying to do the opposite? So we want you to focus just for a moment on, and maybe you've had the same experience, where you actually come to this place of this physical action or altercation. And haven't you noticed that when things really come to blows like that, when there's action, physical action involved, that it's going to get way, 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 way worse before it gets better? And what we're suggesting is, in your mind, just make a mental decision that rather than moving into that fist fight or that nuclear war or whatever it is, just draw back from the action of it. Just draw back from the action of it and just stay with us for a moment. Feel the diffusion of it. In other words, can't you feel the diffusion of the battle when even one pulls back? So now, that's a diffusion of resistance, which is the beginning of allowance. There's resisting who you are and allowing who you are. So now, continue with your verbal dialogue. And haven't you noticed, have you ever been in a discussion with someone with whom you disagreed? Have you ever been able to talk them out of their position? Doesn't it just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger? The surer you are, the surer they are, and the surer they are, the surer you are. Now, there's a universal law behind that, because whenever you know what you don't want, you know more clearly what you do want. In other words, it's parlaying up bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But we're just saying, and we know you've noticed that verbal battle never gets resolved. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. In fact, it usually leads to the physical stuff if you let it go far enough, but we're moving the other way. So you withdrew the fists, and now you've decided to shut up. You've decided to just stop the commentary with the intention of diffusing the resistance. Now, we know some of you are thinking, but Abraham, I was right. I was right. And we remind you, we know you were right. We'll give that to you. You were right. We know you think you were right. We know it felt like you were right. We'll give it to you. You were right. But remember, the criteria is not, is it true or am I right? The criteria is, how does it feel? So we want you to feel the diffusion that happens when you stop offering your fists, and more diffusion that happens, more releasing of resistance happens when you stop offering the words. But you're still thinking about it, aren't you? You're still thinking about it. In fact, you're going to bed thinking about it, and you're waking up thinking about it, the injustice of it. You really wish that you just obliterated them when you had the chance. Now, think about withdrawing those thoughts. Now, this is the thing that we really want you to understand. We've never known anyone who could really turn their attention away from an active vibration, because it's an active vibration. Someone said, it feels like my thoughts are thinking me. So we want to help you to give yourself the benefit of the doubt and let yourself off the hook by acknowledging that when you've got something going on and it's really active in your vibration, you're thinking about it a lot, because you've been offering the vibration, you've trained yourself into the vibrational frequency of that, so that thought is showing up. Just like someone to fight with showed up in Jerry's experience every day when he was taking all of those jujitsu and all of those different self-defense. The more prepared he was for it, the more of it came to him. It does to anyone. The more clever you get in your argumentative debate, the more people to debate will come happen to you. Law of attraction just brings it. So you have to decide, and this is the thing that we really want you to understand, is that when you decide that you're trying to strike your pose of harmony with the new and expanded version of you, with the lifestyle that you've put into your vortex, when you decide that you're going to turn your attention in the direction of who you really are and what you really want, in your attention to something else, that vibration begins to fade away. So what we're really saying to you is that creation is about training yourself into vibrational patterns. And in the same way that Jerry made a decision finally, this fighting business is getting me nowhere. He decided that he was not going to fight anymore. And almost from the moment that he made that decision, not one other fight presented itself to him, because he deactivated it from his vibration enough that it stopped coming. And we are proclaiming to you that you have the ability to deactivate all unwanted things in your vibration. But the only way that you can deactivate unwanted things is to make a decision about what you are going to activate. And the thing that makes it tricky for you is you cannot do it all at once. You can't just stop thinking about that. That's why we're sort of breaking it to you gently. We know most of you are not out there having fist fights, but we want you to think about action being an extreme vibrational patterning. By the time you're offering action about something, you've got a strong vibrational pattern going. And you've got a lot of strong vibrational patterns that serve you, but you have some vibrational patterns that don't serve you too. So cease the action as quickly as you can. Cease the commentary as quickly as you can. Do you know, if you would just make a decision to stop talking about those things that bother you. I'm going to stop talking about those things that bother me. I'm going to stop talking about those things that bother me. You would catch yourself more often when you're talking about those things that bother you. And eventually, by choosing the other side of it, years ago, we offered the idea of pivoting. When you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. So in the middle of talking about what you don't want, if you would stop and say, what I do want is, and wouldn't it be nice if you could, in a very short period of time, we're talking about a matter of hours really, a couple of days at most, you could change the vibrational patterning of any subject that has been bothering you, and law of attraction will no longer bring you the cooperative components that are annoying you, and will begin to deliver to you the cooperative components that are pleasing to you. You live in a universe that is based upon vibration, and you are a veritable vibrational emitter. And you can control what you're emitting just like you can control what you do with your behavior. But it takes practice to do it. So, we've begun talking about this vortex because we want you to understand that there are 3 steps to the creative process. Step 1 is ask, and you can't help but do that. Contrast causes you to ask all day, every day. Know what you don't want, you're asking for what you do want. Step 2 is source becomes the vibrational equivalent of what you're asking for. That's this vortex that we're talking about. Source stands in this vortex, emitting the signal of what you have become. And law of attraction gathers all cooperative components to that vibrational place. Now, sometimes you say, well, the vibrational place isn't all that exciting to me because I can't spend it. I can't see it even. I can't hear it. I can't smell it. I can't taste it. I can't touch it. I'm not that excited about this vibrational vortex thing, whatever it is. And we say, but you must be excited about it because you have to understand that everything that you know that has manifested in your physical world was a vibrational frequency first and was in a vortex vibrationally before the components were gathered enough that it could be translated through your vision, through your auditory, through your sensory perception. In other words, everything that you see in this physical time-space reality is a vibrational interpretation of something that was in a vortex, just like this vortex that we're talking about. It is a precursor to everything. It's big, and it is reality. Step 3 is you got to find a way into the vortex. You've got to let yourself be vibrationally up to speed. So we want to make this real to you. We want you to understand that once life has caused you to put something into this vortex, that this is reality. In fact, it is so much reality that we want to proclaim to you in a way that you will always remember us shouting this to you lovingly. This is present tense. This vortex is who you are. That's why when you don't let yourself be up to speed with it, you feel the drag that is what is resistance, that is what is negative emotion. When you feel bad, it's because you're not up to speed with the present vibration of who you are. Which means, now hear this, this means that everything that is manifested so far is old news. It's old news. That's why you get bored so fast, and you know you do. You know you do. As quickly as a manifestation comes, you're off to the next one. And we want you to understand that this vortex of creation is where it's at, because it is where the vibrational version of you is. It's who you have become. And if you're not up to speed with it, even a little bit not up to speed with it, you're going to feel the diminishment of not being up to speed with it. So if you're really not up to speed with it, you feel despair. You feel powerless. If you're less not up to speed with it, how's that for a tricky way of saying it? As you're closer to the vortex, feeling some anger, you're offering less resistance, more allowance. If you're overwhelmed, you're offering less resistance than you were, but still a pretty good wad of resistance. Frustration, pretty good wad of resistance. If you're feeling hopeful, there's not much resistance in your vibration at all. And when you feel hopeful, on a pretty regular basis, the vortex will take you in, because you're close enough to cooperative that in you go. And once you're in the vortex, once you are in there, now you will have the full view of in the vortex. Now you'll be aware of things. Things will begin occurring to you. In other words, that hope turns to belief very, very quickly as you are in the vortex. And that belief turns to knowing very, very quickly once you're in the vortex, till you reach the place where you understand that you are creator, and that there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have, and that everything that is occurring in your experience is by your choice and by your choice alone. And so we are just suggesting that if you will make the way you feel a high, 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 in fact the highest, in fact the singular priority, how I feel, nothing is more important than that I feel good, because nothing is more important than that I be in the vortex, because nothing is more important than that I be a cooperative component to who I have become, because when I'm not a cooperative component to who I have become, I'm not who I have become. In other words, doesn't that make perfect sense to you? You are creators. You didn't come to fix a broken world. It isn't broken. You came to explore it and to expand it. You came as eternal consciousness. So we want you to understand that as source energy, as we see you here in your physical experience, and you are giving birth to all kinds of new rockets of desires, we embrace those rockets and we hold steadily to the new place that you have carved out. We have access to the benefit that you provide, and then we stand as that steady signal so that you can find your way into alignment with it. Sometimes people say, so you're using us, eh? We're here doing all of this sifting and sorting. Sometimes they say, well, Abraham, why don't you come and be physical? Why don't you come and be physical? And we so want you to understand that that which you are is that which we are, and that which we are is that which you are. In other words, there is not a separation between us other than the temporary separation that you provide when you stand in negative emotion. In other words, it's all by your choice of thought that you hold yourself far too long outside the vortex. So, we are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. We're going to offer everything that we can offer to coax you in the direction of your vortex. We stand in complete, never-ending appreciation for wherever you are standing, because we reap the benefit of everything you ask for. So some might say we do have the better end of this stick, because we stand in the place getting to receive the benefit of all of your sifting and sorting and expanding. But we want you to understand that this vibrational place where we stand this place of love always, this place of constant knowing and appreciation, this place of riding the fastest wave into the new realm of expansion, it's there for you too. In other words, you get to ride these rockets. When you feel elation, when you feel shivers running through you, what you're actually feeling is what we're feeling.